My next guest I had the privilege to sit down with was born and raised in Harlem. They are an educator and an emerging hip hop artist. Within this episode, we discuss astrology and how astrology influenced their chosen name. We also discussed moving from one state to another, and we talked about a career change as a result of their transition. We also discussed gender and how they like to promote change within our culture around gender within their music. This is a really great episode. I know I always say that this is a good episode. This is a good episode, but I can't help it, right? Like these episodes be really great, and I cannot wait for you to hear this episode. I hope that you enjoy. Hello and welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his, and I will be your guide throughout this journey on the show. This show is a platform where trans men of color voices will be amplified as we share our stories. Trans men of color are not monolithic. What that means is our journeys are not the same. We come from different backgrounds, we have different stories, family relations, chosen family, and most of all, we have different transition journeys. Visibility equals possibility. I like to say that all the time. We like to highlight on this show trans men of color businesses and entrepreneurs, parents, athletes, survivors, and many other issues and topics that are relatable to trans men of color in our existence. Dem Bois Podcast is not only a platform to amplify our voices, but to raise awareness and conversation around our lived experiences. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting, listening, and sharing the show. Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his. My next guest was born and raised in Harlem. They are an emerging hip hop artist and also an educator. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the platform, and I'm really excited to be here to talk it up.
Yes, for sure. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm excited. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a minute. I love your work. I love what you do. I love your message, all of that. So I'm so glad that you're here to share with the audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the love always. It's so brand new to receive it. So I'm always just like really, really appreciative of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself so the folks know who you
Yeah,
are?
absolutely. So I'm Father Venus. I am a hip hop artist who is trying to get out of full-time work. So I'm really stepping into this and really taking my shot to go for this creative endeavor, putting my music out there, putting my messages out there. I'm a non-binary trans hip hop artist. My pronouns are they, them, he, him. Although honestly, I've been feeling a little bit past the pronouns in regards to just like, you know, I would just appreciate if people just called me by my name mostly. Just I feel like that feels more up my alley right now. So yeah, I am based out in Detroit. I was originally born in Harlem, raised in Harlem, and yeah, I had a quite a journey from there till now. So yeah, I'm excited to jump into it and see where this conversation takes us.
Yes, most definitely. Definitely. So I like to ask every guest about their name, right? So Father
Yeah.
Venus, how did that name choose you?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for asking it that way, because that's exactly what happened. Over time, just kind of coming into my artistry really in adulthood. I think it was in some ways kind of denied to me as a child. So really in my adulthood, taking on my artistry was happening alongside or parallel to me understanding who I was via astrology. And so getting to know more about my birth chart and like, it was in graduate school that I learned that I had other planets and signs that were involved in the making of who I am and sort of how I see the world and what drives me. And in graduate school, I found out that I was a Libra moon and a Libra rising. And so I'm a Aries sun. And, I think a lot of people, if you're into astrology, you put a lot of emphasis on the sun. It's the first thing you know. It's, and it drives so much of how we see the world, even from a young kid. I remember having a book and reading about it in elementary school. Um, so being an Aries was important to me, but finding out that I was also this opposite sign of Aries, the Libra, and these other really major spaces of my life, my inner being and who I am to the outside world as well. It really changed. It really changed me to receive that knowledge, to receive that information. It softened me. It allowed me to be more sensitive with myself and with others. And that is for me partially because Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet Venus. And this is the planet of love and sensuality and beauty. And so that is sort of where the Venus part comes from. That's me really tapping into that element of who I am and who I've always been. And father really comes from this notion of both masculinity and also if you ask any of my friends or any of the people that I've grown up with or hang out with, I have a very kind of, I want to say almost like TV show dad presence. It's like, is it, you definitely might get it in real life, but it's rare, to have a masculine person who's presenting as such and who's also offering all these other things: comfort, safety, understanding and yeah, so that's kind of where the combo came from. And I was sitting in the same apartment with my partner on the couch. We had just moved here. It was a whole long saga of getting to Detroit from New York, but we were sitting here and I was just like, it just felt so right to have the name be Father Venus, feeling like I'm imparting messages, wisdom through this sort of soft pathway, this soft avenue, and a little bit of a dichotomy, which I also love, like a little bit of a tension between the two as well. And so, kind of exploring that. I'm in that in between space. So
Yeah, I love that. I'm not
yeah,
really into astrology, even though a lot of people
yeah,
tell me my stuff, and I'm like, okay, that
yeah.
makes sense. But then I never really retained it enough to like regurgitate it back to other people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a whole language. It's a whole language, and like I said, it's not something that all after one time being told, it was like it dawned on me. It was like multiple times, and I was like, you know what? It finally, I was like, this really resonates. And I think it opened up some doorways, kind of in my mind and spirit to access certain parts of myself that I couldn't before.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm also an Aries. When is your birthday?
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
I love Aries so much. March 30th. How about you?
Oh, March 23rd.
Wow, that's what's
That's
up. That's
that's
what's up.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You're like on the cusp too, I
Yeah, I
think,
am.
right?
2
Yeah,
days
yeah.
because it
Mm-hmm.
starts on the 21st.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I love being an Aries, and that carried me through my life. I mean, up
Mm.
until, I think I found out maybe like 27, 26, like it really hit me. So for that long, I'm just seeing myself as an Aries, very Ram-like, very impulsive and fiery and all of these things. And
Yeah.
and that was it. That was the only story I was told. So to have the other aspect, for it to be the opposite of Aries at that, like Libra is the opposite. So it also explains a lot of the ways that I struggle with making decisions or being, you know, um, being sure, and not just doing things kind of like catching lightning in a bottle type of way, like how can I actually sustain this energy to make something. So
I am exactly like that. I'm very indecisive with everything. I gotta run
yeah,
it by myself at least 10 times in 10
yes,
different ways before I make a
yeah,
decision.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I am like, if you'll see my computer, the tabs are open. I do research on if it on slippers for weeks to figure out what the best slippers are, and I'm looking at reviews, like it's it's good in some ways, and then in other ways, I'm like, damn, I'm really tired. I can't just make a decision, you know. Um,
Yes, I'm so glad to know that I'm not the only one. I
no,
got a
you're not.
million tabs on my laptop,
Yeah,
and I'm always doing research. I do research about everything. When I bought a pen, I did research on the pen.
exactly. Exactly. So now what I need is you to just tell me what that pen is, because I literally have on my thing, look up the best pen,
That's funny.
because I felt like I needed to have a really good pen.
That is so funny. Well, this
Yeah.
pen is it's called a Frixion. So
Okay, I've heard of those.
yeah, it's actually pretty good. I like it
Yeah.
because I like to take notes a lot. And so they
Yeah.
had a little pad of paper where you could just get water and erase it. So I
Perfect. I
feel like
love that. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not wasting paper, but I'm also able to tap into myself as liking to take a lot of notes.
Yeah. A writer. Yeah.
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 So
Absolutely.
there you go. I think
There you
I
go.
made a decision for you.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna
There you
get
go. There you go.
it.
So you mentioned about, I think this goes kind of ties into my next question for you, because I like to ask, like, for you to tell us your gender journey from beginning
Hmm.
till now, but you mentioned being denied something as a child. And I wanted to know, can you tap into that more when you tell us above your journey until now?
Yeah. Yeah. It actually connects perfectly. Growing up as the eldest daughter, right? And I think that that's really important. Growing up as the eldest daughter, the responsibility, the 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 weight of like the family on the shoulders is so significant that I think, and I know people will resonate with this because it's just like it is such a common thing. Yeah, it's like you like doing the laundry. I'm like, I'm thinking about this little child self with this big shopping cart in Harlem, going to do laundry or going food shopping and going to get cigarettes from the store or whatever. And and again, these things can certainly cross genders, but I think the responsibility, the weight of that really does fall on the eldest daughter, whether you were first or not, which I think is also a part of it. But that made it so, in comparison to like my younger brother, who was very artsy and very like, kind of creative and things like that, it was like the attention and the motivation to like make him into an artist was there. But for me, it was about like scholarly pursuits, and thank God, I didn't have a family that was necessarily trying to be like, well, you got to be in the house type of thing. It wasn't like that, even though I was taking care of tons of house duties. It really came down to just not having the resources, the information, to really be like, how can I support both my kids and their endeavors and what they want? I think it just came down to gender roles. Like it just came down to that. And that meant that I was denied both through, you know, family support or family motivation or encouragement. And to myself, I learned like I'm not an artist, like he's an artist. I am a scholar. I am a smart young girl, who can take care of things and who's responsible. And, so yeah, so I was denied the space to be like, how can I see myself as an artist, as a hip hop artist at that, especially because there's no very little representation of people like me in hip hop. So yeah, I think that's kind of how the gender journey kind of begins for me and how it starts to coalesce with my artist journey. I don't really come into who I am as an artist until I come into who I am as a person through my gender. And that all happens like parallel to each other, like very, very much parallel to each other.
I definitely understand that because I was the oldest child and the oldest daughter.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everything fell on me of taking responsibility for my brothers, watching my
Hmm.
brothers. I didn't really have a life. I couldn't go out with my friends because I
Right,
had to babysit and take care of a house,
right.
for my mother, and learning how to do laundry, even though I love to do laundry. Has nothing to
Yeah,
do with gender
yeah.
roles, but I love laundry. And if I ever date
Hmm.
anybody, I don't let nobody touch my damn laundry because I'm that good at laundry.
That's
But
hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's all these roles. And so I was like, I was never my mom was always like, don't act silly because you're going to have your brothers act silly. Do this and do
Mm-hmm.
that. So it was always focusing on me. I feel like I took a lot of sacrifices for my brothers as well
Yes,
too.
yes,
I
that's
suffered a
what it
lot.
is.
I experienced homelessness, but my brothers
Mm-hmm.
didn't, right? It's because I
Yeah,
took that weight of being the oldest and the oldest
right,
daughter.
right.
So I want to read your bio real quick, just real
Yeah,
quick.
sure.
You
Thank
say
you.
Father Venus is an artist who centers pleasure, justice, and magic through hip hop, music, and visuals. Born and raised in Harlem, New York, they now reside in Detroit, where they independently craft their own style of hip hop from their home base. Saturn
Mhm.
says studios and artists own production house and creative community for and by Black and Brown, trans and queer artists, creatives, and entrepreneurs. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, Saturn Says Studios is a creation from me and my partner. And just together, we went through an astrological return that everybody goes through, but it's called the Saturn return. And Saturn is like the father planet, which again is kind of connecting to that moment that it kind of dawned on me, this name. But you go through this return for 2.5 years. Like it's a long process that you end up going through when Saturn returns to the place it was when you were born. It's a very significant time, and it only happens every 27, 28 years. So, it's an important time. And Saturn Says was born out of that. It's a struggle. If anyone can kind of think back to that time between 27 and 30, what you may have went through, what things may have come up for you, what different significant, you know, traumas and triumphs happened in that time. It is just a really potent one. Lots of things go down for you in that moment. Systems are created that are supposed to sustain you for the next 30 years. And so for us, it came down to quitting our jobs as teachers and education system after essentially me being discriminated against from those institutions for being trans. And we just reached the limit. We were just like, okay, like we have to go, we have to leave. So this is why we left New York, came to Detroit. And Saturn Says was born literally out of like the week that we moved in. Like we were just like, we need to do something else. We need to figure out how to create space for our artistic endeavors. And for those artistic endeavors not to be taken advantage of once put out. And so we just said that we need to create what is a space that people like us can come to release their like creativity in a space that's safe, in a space that's gonna actually try to get you paid at the end of the day. So yeah, we started off as like a clothing brand. So like we started just doing like called like spiritual streetwear, just things that we felt would resonate, and we were hand printing them. Like we learned how to screen print. Um, and it sort of evolved more into now what is like the beginning of like a media company. We would like to be a space where you can come for information, and if you want to create something really dope for social media for your brand or for your whatever it is that has to do with Black and queer trans brown people, then like you come to us. And Father Venus is really under that. Father Venus is kind of like the first iteration of like, this is what can happen when you have a safe space to create art.
Hey, this is Sean Aaron. I'm the founder and executive director of Dem Bois Inc. I am also the host of Dem Bois Podcast. As you may know, Dem Bois provides financial assistance to trans men of color in order for them to obtain gender affirming surgery. We have great news. We're currently looking for volunteers to help support our programs. Our programs include our gender affirming surgery grant program and also our personal care package program. We personally curate packages filled with personal hygiene items. Just to name a few, things like tissue, soap, towels, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. We mail them out to trans men of color across the country who may be in need of help caring for their personal hygiene needs. We are looking for volunteers to help raise funds to support our programs. Also, we're looking for someone locally to the Bay Area to help us put all of the care packages together. If our mission is something that resonates with you and you would like to help support our work, just let us know. You can send an email to hello@dembois.org. That is HELLO at DEMBOIS.org. And we will get back to you with further details. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the next episode. Let me see your shirt. What does your shirt say?
So the shirt say may your ancestors know freedom through you.
Oh, I love that. So
Yeah.
what if I wanted to cop one or somebody listening wanted to cop one? What can we do? Where can we go?
So you can go to saturnsays.com. However, like I said, we did kind of transition out of the printing. So I have like a few of them. So if basically you'd have to hit me up to do it, I'm gonna definitely send you one. But we hopefully will start to get some more of our spiritual streetwear out there. We just needed to take a moment to just be like, okay, like where's the focus? Like what's the focus and how do we build our audience of people who are going to resonate with what we're talking about and what we're trying to do here? And so, yeah, I mean, we launched in 2022. It's only been a year. And I'm really proud of everything that we've done since then. But yeah, so if you want one, hit me up. I got a box.
For sure. I do want one.
Yeah,
Are they all
I got you.
sleeveless like that?
They're not. We got all
Oh,
iterations. Yeah, all
okay.
different types and yeah. So
Okay. Well, I was just saying because I like to have my shoulders out, just like you got your
yeah,
shoulders
listen,
out.
listen. I'm
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
let's do it. We
Yeah.
did this for our Juneteenth kind of commemoration.
Mm.
So yeah, it was a dope project that we put out, and I was yeah, so super excited. Like I said, I got a box of some of the gems that we are no longer on the site.
All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna hit
Yeah,
you up because I
for
need
sure.
one.
Gotcha.
All right. So let's go back just a little bit. And so you
Hmm.
said that you changed careers as a
Yes.
result of your transition. I want you to talk about that a little bit more. I know before I had an episode 7, transitioning at work, and I talked about
Hmm.
how my transition at work was kind of smooth.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
realizing that, but not everybody's situation is the same. And it
Yeah.
kind of baffles me that you were an educator and we talk about folks that are educated are still
Tell me
acting
about
dumb. I
it.
don't want to say that dumb, like, like their education level, but just in behavior,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like
it's
not,
it's exactly it.
yeah.
That's
So,
exactly it.
so you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was working. So me and my partner, our love story starts there as well. Like that's why I'm like, all these things. It's so incredible how things were in alignment. But we met there in the hallways of that school, and upon being there, it's an all black Brooklyn Bed-Stuy, uh, all girls charter school. And the perception is that this is this really beautiful space to create this safety net for some of the most marginalized of our society, right? Young Black girls. But of course, right, there are going to be non-binary and trans students amongst the crowd because, hello, we exist and we're around, and we're going to be attracted to a space like that because you are going to go for the space that you think you're going to find the most safety, right? And so a lot of our students started to share with us that they were trans and non-binary. And this was before I even really fully conceptualized it for myself, though I was a masculine of center perceived lesbian woman, right? And it was in response to supporting those students with their pronouns, because for me, I was like, oh, okay, your pronouns are they then, no problem, right? It took no brain power for me to make this switch for my like lovely student in front of me, and I think it's also because I have a specific like love for students, for young people. I'm like, you guys are freaking smart and like ahead of the game and all. Like my relationship to them had always been a little different. I wasn't trying to like be dominating over them like a lot of other teachers and school people play out, which is a whole other thing. um so a lot of what I was experiencing there was a result of what I felt was protection of these students. And I started to see how the leadership of the space mostly because a lot of the teachers were really down for it, but a lot of the leadership were so threatened at the idea that their school mission that says girls, 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 this, girls, that was somehow being threatened by the presence of non-binary and trans students, right? So much so that they would, when students would share and like we would try to advocate for them about like, it'd be nice if you didn't say like girls, like to call them in group, you could say students. You can use gender neutral words to describe these students, especially because now you know that you have non-binary and trans students. So after about a year of kind of really intense tension, COVID kind of starting, I was like, okay, I am trans, I'm non-binary, and I want to start transitioning. And I made the decision to do so, and knowing that I knew I wanted to do things as quickly as possible because the New York State will cover top surgery costs and things like that. And like, just because some of the laws in New York were so good, we already knew that we were going to be moving to Detroit. Like, we already knew that this was going to be our last year teaching. And I didn't know what my life was going to look like, without insurance and all of these things. So I was like, I have to get this done and I have to do it quickly. And it was a real whirlwind of determination, but I found and did all of what I needed to do to find what I felt was the best surgeon in New York to do this surgery. Alexis Hazen, shout out to her. She's really dope. And upon getting my, like, literally, like, I went from having a 2-year consultation wait to like push, like I called and was calling. They said, keep calling. We might have a cancellation. And don't, you're not bothering us. I called every week until randomly it was just like, oh, you can literally have the consultation next week. Someone dropped, and like the stars aligned in that type of way. And so I had to hit up the school to be like, hey, like I'm gonna be having surgery. Like this is gonna be happening. We're teaching virtually. We're about to go. I set it up so that I had it the surgery right before spring break. So and we were gonna be teaching virtually. This is before even like the vaccine had been out for like a few months at this point. But they denied me my PTO, even though they knew it was for a top surgery. So they took my pay, like during the pandemic, they took my money. And at that moment, I was like, oh, okay, like this is very serious. Like you guys you're not just like ignorant. You are actively trying to create a harmful space, like retaliation. Um, because why would you deny me my PTO? Like it was like they gave me the day off for the surgery, but then they wanted me to come in the next day. Like,
That's wild. Like, come on, let's be
isn't
realistic, people.
isn't it so wild? I was like, you
Yeah.
guys do know this is a double mastectomy. Like, and if this were for another reason that double mastectomies happen, I would have had the time off, no problem. You would have actually probably set me up even better, So it was in that moment that I was like, okay, this is very serious. And my actual rights are being discriminated against, And so I had to call a lawyer. I was like, this is you can't just do whatever you want to whoever you want, like because you're a principal or because you're a vice principal, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, y'all, like this is your world in this little space. There is a whole other world that exists. Like in this school, you have this power, but in true reality, you do not have power over me. You can't tell me that I can't come in or can't, you know what I mean? You can't, or that I have to come in or something, So it was a moment of having to confront that, of being like, I am autonomous. There is no job in the world that will ever be able to keep me from doing what I have to do for myself. And if it wasn't for my students and their conviction to be themselves, and sort of the life force that generated in me to be like, oh, I'm not stopping by any means, to like, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen as quickly as I want it to. um all of that created a space where now I'm like, I I don't have to submit to the things and to the narratives and to the stories that were presented to me about jobs, about life, about passion, about gender, about money, all those things. Like now, and to kind of bring it full circle to Saturn says, this was where those systems were breaking down for me and my Saturn return, and then me rebuilding with a wholly new foundation of like, this is who I am. This is what I want to create. And not only is it possible, but it's going to happen far quicker than I can even imagine because I'm so committed to it, you know?
Did this happen around your 27th year?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
wild.
Like I started testosterone. And that story is wild. I was running down Flatbush with my tea. Like I had an incredible doctor, and I went to Callan Lord Clinic in Brooklyn. They're really awesome, but they are in a really inconvenient place on Flatbush. Like it's like right near the freaking bridge. So I didn't look up parking or whatnot. So we're driving. My partner is like, I flip out the car. Basically, she's still driving. She don't like driving, so she's like, I'm going home. And I'm sitting there. I have an awesome doctor. They prescribed me the testosterone. They're like, this is no problem. You can get this. Like, they're like, oh, this is easy, you know? But it took me hours to get the testosterone from a pharmacy. Like, no one had it. Like, they were going on break. Like, it took me hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So that day, I'm running down to try to go get the first shot from them, from the clinic, because they have to give it to me. And they waited for me. So like it was like the day before Thanksgiving, and they waited an extra 15 minutes for me to get there to give me the shot, and to find out that that day Saturn was exact to where it was when I was born. Like it was that day, and it was only on that day that it happened. Um, my first T shot. So I'm like, this stuff it's not like it. Once you tap into it, it's not pretend, it's really there. It's really, really there.
So you mentioned I just want to throw this in there really quick just to
Mhm.
say this because I believe that visibility, I say this often, and
Mhm.
visibility equals possibility.
Mm.
So you were visible to these students, and which equals possibility to them in their lives, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, is there anything that you would like to say? Maybe there's a past student or a current
Mm.
student that may hear this episode and they see you or they hear you or they hear your music. Is there anything that you
Yeah.
would like to say to them because you're no longer there?
Yeah. I mean, luckily I had such an incredible relationship with so many of them that we were able to stay in touch, and I was able to, participate in their lives in other ways of just supporting them, and even one where we supported all the way through his top surgery,
Mm.
and raised money for him, and made it happen, and made sure he had a safe space to do that with adults who cared about him. And so yeah, I mean, I would just say to them, like, y'all, as I used to tell them this all the time. Like I used to be like supposed to be teaching a lesson, and I'm just telling them like how incredibly important they are, and how significant it was that they just came downloaded with the information and like the almost like the software to move our world into such a significantly better place. Like it feels so natural for them to just understand certain concepts and certain ways of life. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I had the time with them to teach them, and to for them to teach me. Like we were in a reciprocal relationship the entire time, and that's how I always treated it. This is why I had the relationships I had with them. And so yeah, I mean, I would just say keep going, keep being you, exactly who you are, keep pushing the boundaries of things, because those of us who are older are benefiting from it. Those of us who are just above there, it's like, yeah, we're maybe setting some pathways for them, but It's totally reciprocal.
You know what really bothers me is how politicians or just folks in general like to say that this is not for children. Children don't can't possibly know what they want. Wait a
Yeah.
minute, but you can let your child who's 5 years old tell you what the hell they're gonna eat and not eat. And
Yeah.
they're able to make those type of decisions, but they're not able to tell you who they are as a person. That makes no sense to me. So they can wear the same thing for 3 days, but they can't tell you no,
Right.
pops, mom, dad, loved one, I feel this way
Mm-hmm.
about myself. It's like we need to give kids and children,
Mm-hmm.
adolescents, more credit than we do.
Oh,
You know?
100%. I am only now doing the things that I'm doing with the kind of fervor that I have because I'm tapping into my child self who wanted it to begin with. Like this is I'm yeah, maybe, the shell and things are different, but the spirit is the same, and this is why I think like I mean, one, I think it's a very like white supremacist Western way of thinking to have it that kids are below you and should be servant and kind of things like those are that's not true. That's not the true essence of that time frame. And I think the one thing that we all have in common in this society right now is we all survived childhood. That's no like small feat.
Right.
Like we survived childhood and things should be different. It shouldn't be like a survival, and I think it will start to stop soon. But the one thing we all have in common is that. So I'm just like, it's not that far off for you to remember that you knew yourself and you knew what you liked and you knew what you didn't like and how significant it would have been for an adult to be in your life to be like, you know what, I respect that. That is
Absolutely.
true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I
yeah.
think it also comes at to me, I feel like it's almost like a jealousy type of thing.
Oof.
As you get to
Oof.
be an adult and you jealous of the young folks because they
Yeah.
making waves and they saying what it is they want when you jealous because you didn't have enough courage to do it for yourself when you was a youth,
That's all it is.
your generation. It's the same as just like when we were going through this whole thing about student loan forgiveness, right?
Right.
And some politicians were like, how dare the young folks want student loan forgiveness? I paid back my loans. Well, why are you
Right.
jealous? Like, why wouldn't
Why
you
are you
want to make what?
jealous?
Yes.
And also, your loans was $10,000. Okay, for your medical
Yes,
loans.
yes,
Okay, you know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Like it's a different time. And yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think it's jealousy. And the one thing that I try to like, reiterate even to some folks who are older in my life is like you always have the opportunity to change things. It doesn't, I mean, in fact, you're even more capable of doing it. That's why I'm just like, y'all really jealous of kids who in this society, y'all don't let them get a say in anything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense. Like make it make sense. You are in a stratosphere where you can literally decide what you want to do with every minute, hour, like, you know what I mean? Like you really can. So it's yeah, it's baffling to me. And I think it really just comes down to, like you said, a bit of a jealousy, a bit of an envy. That's all displaced. It's all displaced. Like
Yeah.
it's and it could very well be healed to allow for all of these young folks that are coming up now to really have space to create this world that we all desperately want, whether we know it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Internally, I think we all desperately want it, but people are scared. People are fearful of what they don't know. And
yeah,
I was having an argument with one of my coworkers the other day at work about how our job should change its culture. And they like, that ain't
mm-hmm,
gonna work. I said, well, how do you know it's not gonna work if you ain't never tried it?
right,
Right? You never know.
yeah,
We don't have to be so damn rigid. Like this, our
no,
culture is so rigid, and it's like there's no room for change. There's no room for growth. It's like we're not robots. We're not
yeah,
monolithic, right? We're all
exactly,
different. We all come in different shades. We like different things, right? It's like if that was the
mm-hmm,
case, it'd be the same type of music. We would all wear the same color clothes. You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
come on now, everybody's different, and
Yeah,
so
it'd be
just
like the Hunger Games. I'm like, what do you want?
right.
you know?
Shit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's kind of scary if you think about it, because
I
it could be
know.
like that. I always
But
think of
that's
the handmaid's tale. Like,
exactly. I'm like, we're not that we have, we have people who want life like that, who want society
Yeah.
like that, you know. And my thing is, I always sometimes I'll find myself just up at night being like, why are people so concerned with other people? I'll never quite get it with how much I'm trying to mind my own business. I'll never quite understand it, and I won't because it's that's their journey. I think it's also, you know, some things around like whatever you find to be fulfilling and powerful. I think some people do like to dominate, you know, um, but don't know how to do so in like what could be actually really conducive ways, or constructive ways of getting that energy out. So we're just still in that theater of like white supremacy, colonialism. Like we're just still in that play, and but I do feel and see the cracks in it that are happening, right? Like when you see that Gen Z is like, you know, we're like 1 in 3 are non-binary, and you know, like they're just like, yeah, like those are the cracks that are gonna start to happen with people, and again, like I said, it can happen at any age, you know.
Yeah. When you said the cracks, it kind of remind me of do you watch Loki on Disney
I
Plus?
yeah,
It's-
I saw the first season. I don't know. I haven't seen the next couple.
yeah, I think the second season is come out soon, but it's almost like that
Okay.
timeline when the time they were
Yes.
trying to prevent the timeline from getting fractured.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
when you say that, I think of that like it's getting fractured, right? We're not
Yes.
going in this straight line of what these people want us to do. I'm just saying people, right? The people that want it to
Yeah.
be straight line, whoever that may be, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's being fractured. Like everybody is going every which way, and that's really
Hmm.
genuinely how it's supposed to be. I could care less what you do, long as you're not
Right.
harming me. What you eat is not gonna make me shit. It's just that.
Exactly. That's what I literally don't understand because there'll be moments where I'm just like, am I trying to outlaw transphobes? Not necessarily. Like, could you possibly just go somewhere with your ideas? Sure. But it's your desire to give, like, to try to contain me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, because that's where the agree to disagree could work. But it's now you've taken it another level because you want to dominate me. You want to dominate my ability to live. Now we're in a different realm, right? But yeah, so it is cracking. It is, but it happens because we believe it to be. You know, we believe that that's a possibility, and don't just take what's given. You know, I'm just like, I guess I just never been like that. I never been like
yeah,
even as a kid, I just never took what it was. If you gave me a paper to write and this was the prompt, I wrote my own prompt. You know, and it was just how I was, and you know, it's how I see the world. You know, I really do think that the things that are happening now are going to prove to be so monumentally of like a shift in the foundation of how we work and move and live in the society. And I feel really hopeful about that. There are lots of moments where I'm like, this is horrible, these are things are terrible, and humans this, but there is something that I feel is generating that is creating a really, really beautiful life force that we'll be able to see proliferate in the society in a different way
yeah.
soon.
And hopefully 30, 40 years down the line, we won't even be having this conversation, right? It won't be something
Exactly.
that's so strange. We'll actually be talking about something else that seems strange, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and hopefully these things shift. Hey, this is Sean Aaron, the host of Dem Boys Podcast. Are you enjoying the podcast so far? Great. I'm glad that you are. Would you consider donating today to help support the continuation of this podcast? As you know, this podcast aims to serve as a platform to highlight and amplify the voices of trans men of color and share our transition stories. The podcast not only aims to amplify trans men of color voices, but it also raises awareness around our lived experiences. You would like to donate? Where can you donate? Great. I'm glad that you asked. Link in our description will take you directly to Network for Good, whom we've partnered with in order to collect donations for the podcast. Or you can visit our website. On the website, click the donate button, and from there, you are able to donate directly to the podcast. All donations are tax deductible. What does the donations go to? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Your donation will help to support our production costs. We are working with Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions that brings you this awesome content. And also, we pay our guests an honorarium. Pay our guests an honorarium. Yes, we do. Why? Because as trans men of color, we would like to support and uplift each other and honor the time that's given out to come here and share their stories. So if you love this podcast, share and donate. See you on the next episode. Take care. And so when you talk about your artistry,
Hmm.
right? Um, how are you able to incorporate your gender within your artistry?
Yeah. It really just comes out. Like I almost, I do think a little bit about representation. What, of course, I'm a lyrical rapper. Like it gotta be smooth. It's gotta make sense. It's gotta be fun. It's gotta be clever or creative. And for me, the gender parts just kind of come out in, I guess some of the topics, some of the phrases, like in the first song that I put out and released was Kitchen Sink Rap. It was just like a multiverse thing over a Pusha T beat, and I did a video for it. And within the first few lines, I'm saying like masculine and feminine. I'm balancing the mix. I'm moving energy like weight, trying to make a flip, and that's because I again kind of going back to the Libra, the Father Venus. I am balancing both of those things. I have never been a person who is actually, let me take that back. I have had moments actually where femininity is, I'm seeing it, and or it's being pushed uh, on me as a problem, as an issue. Whether it's because it's the story that's given to me and now I'm rejecting it because I don't feel um, aligned with your version of it, or if I'm, experiencing internalized femphobia, right, which I think we all experience, right? We're all of this society. And so for me, it's really important to try to hold both of those things. Like I have been gifted with the ability to do that. So I really want to focus on that, right? And I think that hearing that on a rap song is like, oh, like didn't expect that, right? In that very moment. And, I think a lot about how that sits with people, like that's going to make you sit and think a little bit differently about what the next part of what you're going to hear is. I really, even with like, as thinking about representation, like I said, and one of the parts I say bitch, right? And I'm like, oh, I took my bitch out. And I'm like, I don't talk like that. Like I don't actually talk like that. I don't believe that. And so I had to go through the effort and the work of being like, I'm gonna change that in the song. It's no problem, right? I'm a writer, right? Like there are so many different words. So, like there are like things like that where I'm just like, I'm not trying to like recreate the same systems that kept me from believing that I could be a part of this genre, right? That breathes in me, that is a part of me, that I have loved since the beginning, of life for me, So I think it comes out in those ways. And yeah, I feel like at the sort of foundation of it all, I really just want to be somewhat of like a simulation for like this is how Black trans people can live a good life on this planet, even with all of the different things that we have to go through, even with all of the different traumas and things. It's a true gift, and I think that's where the magic part comes in of me centering pleasure and magic. And I think the justice part comes in where I'm just like, I also am gonna call it what it is, I'm gonna say what I believe, even if it feels like a hard truth. And I have a song called Pause that I'm gonna come out with soon that's kind of talking a little bit about the what's very homophobic of saying pause for every single thing that could potentially be like considered gay, you know? So like the no homo pause and everything like that. Like I'm just like, oh my, like if that's not an indication of someone being completely insecure, I don't know I don't know what else is, you know? And so I'm really calling attention to that in hip hop. Like, this is, it's playful. And I think a lot of people try to say the song is playful, my song, but a lot of people will try to say that saying pause or no homo is also kind of playful. It's kind of like a part of the culture in this sort of way. And I'm like, we can let it go.
So when you saying pause, you're talking about PAUSC pause.
Yeah, Pause. Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm okay, maybe I don't know. I'm far removed from hip hop because I don't really listen
Okay.
to it that much
Yeah.
like I used to because
Mm-hmm.
it just don't resonate with me like it used to.
Yeah.
I got my
Yeah.
favorites, my same favorites that I'm gonna listen to regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
please, it's for folks like myself who don't necessarily
Yeah.
know what I know what no homo mean. I've heard
Yes.
that. But when you say pause, what is that
It's
reference?
it's literally a synonym of no homo. It's just like and it may be more specific to like the East Coast, New York. But if someone, for example, is eating a banana, you may say pause, right? Or um, I saw someone say like, "Oh yeah, like we were eating this meat from Mexico." Pause, and it's just like, okay, um, all right. So it's for me. The song starts with like, I'm really tired of people pausing. The only pause I do is when I'm posing, and just calling attention to it. Like, this is a really simple way of showing how insidious homophobia is in hip hop and in our culture. Whatever our culture is, that it is very much there. And yeah, like for me, like I said, I think that it really actually calls attention more to the person than queer people or gay people. Like, I think it really says a lot about who they are. Like, if you are so programmed to speak and express yourself and follow up anything that could be considered queer with pause, I'm like, what is the brain capacity and work that you're doing there that could be used for so many other things?
You know what it signals to me is, and first I want to say that I'm not saying anything about hip hop. I do like it. I just haven't
Hmm.
found new artists. I like your stuff
Yeah.
though.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
That
what I'm trying to
resonate.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates with me. So I'm listening to a lot of house right now. So that's kind of what I've been doing. A lot of
Nice.
ampiano music and that type of stuff. So that's
Nice.
kind of where my vibe is right now. But I'm
Yep.
known to like switch up. I may feel yesterday I was into Diana Ross. So
Right.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you never know. But I
Yep.
think what I want to say is what it signifies to me is for one, it's your own insecurities
Yes.
and it's actually not knowing what it is to be gay or homo or whatever the word is in the first place. We got all
Hmm.
of these biases of what we think it means to be one way when actually is
Hmm.
not. And what the fuck about eating a banana? Bananas are good potassium. Like what?
That's what I'm saying. What is up with your banana? But this is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. Like, it is so distracting
Mm,
from what you really should be focused on.
absolutely.
And for it to be, like I said, so insidious now, like it's just there, like dust, like like it's just accepted. I'm like, no, this is not going to work. It is the oddest thing to me to be in a conversation and for that to happen. And it, thank God I don't really experience it so much now with the people that I surround myself with. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is really, really telling about the I don't want to say I'm gonna say it, but then I'm gonna try to think of a way of unpacking it, but sheepish. Like, it's like
Mm,
you're not even really thinking about it. You're
mm.
not even really considering what exactly it is that you are saying or doing or why you're it's just you heard it basically. you know?
Just repeating something
Um
that you don't even know why you're repeating it.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And I'm just like, what my goal is with the song, once it comes out, is to make it so that you feel actually very silly saying that you actually are clear that in fact what you are doing is pointing to your insecurities, and so you may not want to actually throw out your no homo or your pause 50,000 times in the conversation, because in fact, what you're getting, because now we have this perception and this new understanding of what it is, perhaps what you're giving is the opposite of what you think you were
Mm,
doing. Perhaps
wow.
you're coming off as very gay, and closeted, you know? So,
I love that. Making
yeah.
people think. I love that.
Yeah,
Think
I
about
love
what you're
that as
saying.
well.
Think about it. And everything that comes to your mind does not have to come out your mouth.
It doesn't. Yeah, and you
Mm,
have to be responsible for your thoughts, even if still, like, you have to be responsible. All those things go somewhere,
mm,
so it's really, really important that people really tap into that for real now. And this is
that's a
why I
good
like
point.
playing with it. Yeah, I like playing with it. I like tapping into it. I like, touching that edge of it. Like, like, have you considered that maybe you have some feelings for, and like, let's really dive into it. And so yeah, that's kind of how I approach music.
So we hear, I'm not in the
Hmm.
industry. You are in the
Hmm.
industry. We hear a lot of things about how homophobic or transphobic the industry is. Do you experience any of those things outside of your inner circle and the artists that you currently work with?
To be honest, I'm so at the beginning that I wouldn't even consider myself in the industry. And I don't know that I'll ever really, really fully tap into all of the things that means. Like, I think part of my goal and my job with Saturn Says is to create a new industry, to create a crack in that timeline, because so far from what I've heard, it's terrible, and I'm like, wow,
Mm,
that's kind of kept me from wanting to do things, but that shouldn't keep me from wanting to connect with the foundation of what music industry things are: music, fans, and people who are resonating with your music, right? And are getting something from it. So for me, I would say that I'm really at the beginning of tapping into who I collaborate with. I'm so particular about it. Like, I am a person who is just like, I want to make everything black and trans. So I will take my time finding a director who is black and non-binary, or finding a producer who's like a dope black lesbian from the Bay. Shout out to Butch Brood, who does some of my beats. But this is like, that's how I like to go about it. Like, I don't think that I don't have to go outside of my community to create the things that I want to create. And I think that it's better. The music and the work is better for it. And there will be a time very soon, hopefully with Saturn Says, or definitely with Saturn Says, where we are able to, like I said, kind of generate resources, monetary, time, energy for other folks like us to be able to continue doing what we're doing without having to sacrifice in the same ways that other folks have had to sacrifice in quote unquote industry, sort of relationships and standards.
oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Um, it's creating your own pocket,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
pocket of your own genre, really.
Exactly. It's its
Yeah.
own genre, own space. Like, it's I think if anything, COVID and going remote, and then everyone kind of going insular, really created that idea, really solidified for me that it's important for us to create spaces for each other. And I'm not trying to be a billionaire. I don't even think billionaires should exist. You know what I mean? Like, I think what I want to be able to do is take care of my basic needs. I want to be able to do a video when I want to, do a song when I want to, pay the people around me who are helping me to do so that they don't have to worry about what's happening with with their bills or whatnot. Um, and that's it. Like, that's my goal. That's my rich life. You know what I mean? Like, it's not more than that. And it doesn't require having 60 million fans to do so. What I need is like my core set of people who truly understand what's going on here, who resonate, who love it, and who want to continue seeing it kind of blossom and seeing how far we can take it.
I love that. I
Yeah.
keep saying that, but you just throwing out all these little nuggets. And I feel like even with my own life, that's how I am, right? There's a
Yeah.
few things that I want. I was thinking about this earlier when I was at the gym, and I
Yeah.
was like, there's only a few things that I want in life, and that's to be able to eat what I want,
Yep.
travel wherever I want,
Yep.
and to be with the people I love and spend money on the people that I love. I could care less
Yes.
about all that other stuff, right? I don't have to
Exactly.
be a billionaire. I don't have to be a millionaire. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to provide. from
Yes.
folks that I
Yeah.
love, and just to be happy. I want genuine happiness, whatever that may
Yeah.
bring. And people think,
Yes.
oh, the more money I had, the more happy I'll be. Well, actually, no, because
No.
it's probably some billionaires out there that's unhappy, right? Because
I
they
would
lack.
I would I would bet to say most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, these folks are not even like, I think I saw I forgot who I saw talking about this, but like these people are not even, oh, I think this was in response to the SAG, after like picketing that's going on, the
Hmm.
striking that's
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm.
But these CEOs and billionaire people and folks, they don't even eat amongst regular people. You
Yeah,
know
they
what I mean?
can't.
Like
Yeah.
they don't have no sense of real true life. And the longer you've had the money, the more further removed you are from it. So I'm not asking that for myself. I don't want that. You know what I mean? And I don't think that I have to make the exchange of that for money. Like
Mhm.
money is energy, money is a source. It's like for me, I kept thinking and feeling like it's like the Matrix. It's just a quick kind of moment of equations of figuring out how to manifest and pull this into my life in a way that makes sense. And part of it was being like saying no to certain things, right? Being like, I'm not gonna just be at this school getting discriminated against all willy nilly because I feel like I gotta protect the kids, right? Like that, which I think a lot of teachers will feel, right? Like it really does require you making these really, really tough decisions that you know are right for you that will make the space for the other things to come in. So yeah, I'm just like I said, I just want to take care of people. I want to just keep creating. Like I just am so tired of doing stuff that's not creating, basically. That's like all I can think about. So that's what I want to do.
Living in your purpose,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And we talked about
Yes.
this previously before we started of wanting to be somewhere where we're living in our purpose and feel like our
Yes,
purpose is being served, right?
absolutely. And like I said, at this point, I don't know what's happened over the last few years, but it's almost impossible for me to do anything else. So I'm really just living in that and knowing that I may not know how I'll get there, like because things are not linear and you never know what will happen, but that it will happen.
You have to feed your spirit. That's
Yeah,
just it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So this is the part of the show where I like to ask the guest a random ass question.
Ah, I love it.
So I
Let's
have a
do it.
list that's always growing. Right now, it's kind of stagnant. I'm still
Okay,
on 31 questions, but
okay.
the questions may or may not have anything to do with what we talked about today.
I
So,
love it.
so just pick a number between 1 and 31, and I'll read that question to you.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go with 30.
Okay, so number 30 comes with a trigger warning. I don't really like
Okay,
to say trigger. I like to say emotional warning. I don't.
okay.
Were you teased as a child at
Hmm,
school by siblings or family members? Would you like to discuss it, and what were you teased about?
that's a good question. I'm very fortunate in that I don't have significant experience with teasing or bullying. I think I really took the position in school of being like, I'm gonna beat the bully up type of thing. I really hate a bully. Oh
Yeah,
my god. So so yeah. Unfortunately, I think if at most maybe some of it came out with my little brother, just being his older sibling. Um, but yeah, I truthfully, I really don't necessarily have, yeah, I really don't have experiences with
that's
being
good.
teased. I'm really grateful, thankful for that. For all the things that somehow aligned for me to have a childhood like that.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's very hard. Um, but I will beat a bully up.
Damn, you probably would beat
Yeah.
me up. You know, because you know what, and I have never spoke this out loud. I don't think on this
Yeah.
type of a platform, but I used to be a
Yeah.
bully, and I
Wow.
used to be a bully because I was bullied. Yeah, I got to a point in my life where I was like, I'm gonna beat people to it before they bully me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bully other people, and I
Yeah.
had a rude awakening. Once I think I was probably about 19, 20 years old, and I was in
Mm.
a food place, and it was a girl that I went to high school with, and I said hello to her, and she kind of like jumped back, and she was like,
Wow.
"Are you talking to me?" I was like, yeah," and she was like, "I can't believe." She literally started to cry. She was like, "I can't believe this. In high school, you made my
Wow.
life hell. You teased
Oh,
me, you bullied
yeah.
me,"
Yeah.
and I and I was going through my own shit at that time, but I
Yeah,
was
of
starting to
course.
grow. I had to grow at 19, 20 years old because I was homeless. And so
Yeah.
my world shifted for me. But I remember asking her, can I embrace her? And can I hug
Mm,
her? And I
I
hugged her.
love that.
She just folded and cried in my arms. And I apologized to her. I said, whatever, I
Yeah.
don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I said, but
Yeah.
whatever I did to you, I'm so sorry. And it's getting me
Yeah.
emotional just thinking about it,
Yeah.
because knowing who I am now, and that knowing that I caused that type of pain, I'm glad that I was able to heal. Hopefully, I
Yeah.
can't say that she was healed from that, but hopefully it was able to shift. Right.
I think a beginning, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, you know what? So after that, I gotta take it back. I will not beat up a bully. But what I will do is pull up a
Yeah.
chair for the bully,
Mm,
right? And really try to dive into what is going on. Because I do believe that, of course, at some point in adulthood, you have to, you know, if you're bullying at this point, you've made that decision. But
right.
even still, like thinking about that child self, that something must have happened that solidified that this is how you should be moving in the world. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of hurt people. It's a lot of hurt
Yeah.
people out here, and
Yeah.
I do actually truly wish that folks find healing, and I think that that moment feels like it was at least the beginning of that for both of
Yeah.
you.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah,
that she was able to heal, knowing that,
yeah,
I apologize and I recognize, even though I didn't remember. Sometimes people say, I don't
yeah,
remember, so I didn't do it. No, I don't
yeah,
remember, but obviously you have some type
right.
of feelings about it, so I'm sorry, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so often I think it's like a disembodiment too. Like you don't remember because you're not present to
Yeah,
it, like you're
absolutely.
out of your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
Yes. Thank you
yeah.
so
Great
much,
question.
Father
Yeah,
Venus, for being
of
on the
course.
show. Is there any last things you would like to say to folks that are listening?
Uh, no, I mean, just, definitely be on the lookout for, these upcoming releases. I'm working really hard on just getting things foundation wise settled. Making sure that folks can find me easily, Father Venus Music, on all platforms, and making sure that I'm generating, some type of audience that really resonates with what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And like I said, I'm really enjoying myself a whole lot, and so I'm really excited to keep putting things out there. So yeah, just keep following along the journey with me, and yeah, we're gonna take it all the way. Like I said, I feel like I'm pound for pound right now, and I'm really going for my run. And yeah, I'm just like incredibly excited for it. So thank you
Abs-
for this platform and offering this space for me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what comes for you as well. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here. Appreciate it.
thank you, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So we have reached the end of this episode. I want to say thank you for listening to Dem Boys Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his. Be sure to visit our website at demboys.org. That is DEMBOIS.org. If you would like to connect with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. If you think you would be a great guest on the show, or if you know somebody you think would be a great guest on the show, there's multiple ways to request to be a guest on the show. First is you can go visit our Instagram page, click the link in our bio, and from there you'll be able to request to be a guest on the show. Or you can visit our website, click the programs tab up top, scroll down to podcast, click the podcast button, and from there on the podcast page, you'll be able to request to be a guest on the show. Yo, we need questions, y'all. If you have those burning questions, a question that you want to ask me or a future guest on the show, there's multiple ways that you can send in questions, right? So first, you can go to Instagram, DM us that question, or you can email us at hello@demboys.org. That's HELLO, like hi, at demboys.org. Be sure to like the show. Be sure to share this show out with your friends and other folks in your networks. So until next time, take care.